I'm going to demo the Rock Paper Monsters gameplay for everyone to get a chance to see what the game's all about. So the game starts out with a blank slate. You have the draw pile on your right hand side, and both players then select 6 cards from that draw pile into each of their hands. Then both players will select 3 cards off of the draw pile and place them face down, face to face with each other, and begin flipping over the cards from one side to the other to determine the winner. In the case of Rock Paper Monsters, Rock beats Claws, so this card would get discarded. Then you would flip over the next set of cards. And in this scenario, Paper beats Rock. And then finally, you have 2 of the same type. In the case of 2 cards with the same type, no cards are discarded and the play begins. Next, you'll look at the total scores that both teams have. The player that has the least amount of points in play goes first. If there's a tie, the player with the least amount of cards in play will go first. And if there's still a tie, then both players will have a real live game of rock, paper, scissors to determine who goes first. So in this scenario, player 1 has an option to play to the left or to the right of any of their cards in play, indicated by these blue boxes. So they've just decided to play a paper in the open slot here against the rock, which will then defeat the rock, so that card ends up discarded. As you can see the updated score, so now player 1 is winning 8-4. Player 2 then decides which card to play to the left or to the right of their cards in play. So they'll play a Claws, which beats Paper, so that card gets discarded. To round 2. So player 1 has 3 options to play a card next to any of the open spots adjacent to their cards in play. They've chosen to play one off to the side. It has a little bit of a cushion before their opponent can get to that card to discard it, so it can add to their total pretty quickly. Now player 2 has 2 open spots that they could play a card, and they've chosen to play against a paper card in play. So one of the strategies here is that if you play a paper against a paper or cards of the same type against each other, if you play the higher card, it's very difficult for them to destroy that card. They would have to take a special ability or a bonus card to wipe out that card. So you kind of lock that battle into place so nobody can discard your card, and gives you a point advantage potentially. So now jumping into the next round, player 1 has 3 spots open to play a card, and they've chosen to play one of the bonus cards. So these bonus cards are triggered at certain times in the game. You'd have to read the text to understand when it is triggered. So in this case, it's during the turn. And what this calls for, that if you play a card and you still have a lower point total than your opponent, you get to draw a card and play an additional one. So that's a very powerful bonus card to help you out if you're falling behind. So now player 2 will look at his available options, and he has 2 areas that he can play a card. And he chooses to play one of his paper cards against a rock to eliminate that card. Now, player 1 has 2 options, and they choose to play a Claws against Paper to wipe out that card. So as you can see, you can go back and forth and either try to fight your opponent's monster to eliminate it. You can play a card of the same type to try to get a point advantage, or you can play in an open spot that doesn't have a monster across from it to just add to your total and hopefully build yourself out to the left or to the right to give you some cushion from having your monsters be eliminated. And so in this example, since that bonus card has a call out that says if they still have a lower point total when they play a card, they get to draw and play another card, they get to go again. So in this example, they can play a rock card in an open area, and so it's a tie game. So player 2, they'll play a rock card against the Claws to defeat that monster. Give them a point advantage. So now player 1 is losing by 5 points, so they can try to play this very carefully to take advantage of that bonus card they have in play. So with their 3 spots open, they'll play a 4-point card off to the side. Their total up to 12, and since they still have a lower point total than their opponent, they can play an additional card to one of the 3 spots shown. So they'll play a rock card opposite a rock. So since those cards do not go into battle when played, that gives them a great point advantage and some security to increase their total and hopefully fight for that win. Now player 2 has a couple options here. They're falling behind pretty quickly, so they played a paper card against a rock to eliminate that 4 card. Try to get back into the game, but time is running out. So player 1 has 3 spots to play in. They'll play claws against a paper to eliminate that one. And now they're winning by 5, and player 2 is running out of options here, so just throws down a paper card to bring them up to 16, and that ends the round. So once all cards in hand are played, both players will do a final tally of their total points in play, and whoever has the most points obviously will win. Now in this case, if a player has 5 or more points than their opponent, then they win 2 monster bites. But in this case, since the opponent won by only 2 points, they get a single bite. So this would be the layout of your scored cards, one on top of each other face to face. And every time you would win a monster bite, you would slide that top card to reveal one of the faces. So as you proceed, if you win 2 bites or more, depending on what your bonus cards offer you, you'd slide and move that card and flip it over and continue sliding until you get a total of 10 points to win. So that is, in a nutshell, what the gameplay is like. There's definitely some variance depending on what the bonus cards or what the abilities of each of the monsters have. Definitely will change the landscape of the game. Sometimes you might end up with a good hand at the beginning. Sometimes it might be a pretty even draw, but a lot can happen in the course of a game with these abilities. So I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone does with some combinations. Hope you liked it, and we'll definitely have some more to share soon. Thanks.